Welcome to the video tutorial about how to use the Financial Affairs Disclosure F-1 system for returning filers. The first step is you'll need to go to your Secure Access Washington account and log in. Once you've logged in, you're going to make sure that you have added the Public Disclosure Commission to your Secure Access Washington account. You do so by clicking Add a Service if you haven't already done so. And you find the Public Disclosure Commission. You'll see it will say that you're accessing the Public Disclosure Commission. You will click Continue. And now you will see that you have two choices: campaign finance or financial affairs disclosure. You'll click Financial Affairs Disclosure. And it will take you to the landing page where you previously filled out your F-1 last year. You'll see your name will be in the upper right-hand corner. You'll now click Start. And it will take you once again to the overview page. It's extremely important that you make sure that you read the overview page because it will give you information about what is upcoming in future screens. You'll see at the bottom of the page, there is Next, there's Previous. This appears throughout the filing system. Click Next. You'll see it'll have your name there. Click Next. And it's now gonna ask you to confirm the public position that you hold. Click Next. Now it's going to ask you if you're currently a candidate in an election. If you are, you'll click Yes, and it will ask you for some other information. If you're not, you're just an elected or appointed office holder, you will say No and continue with the next. You'll now see that you're at a screen and it's going to tell you the period that you're reporting for. In this case, we're reporting for calendar year 2020. Click Start Disclosure Statement. Now, once again, you are going to get an overview page. And for those of you that are returning filers, I want to let you know, if you look over in the overview section, you will see that there's an import information. You're going to be able to import, which I'll show you in just a moment, all of the information from your last report if you choose to do so. Here's where you're going to import the information from your last report if you choose to do so. So you have the choice of no or yes. So I'm going to choose yes, and I'm going to click Next. You'll get a message that says you've successfully imported your financial affairs disclosure from a previous period. It's important at this point that as we go through the subsequent screens, that you make sure that now that you've imported the information, that you verify that it's accurate. What I mean by that is you're going to make sure that this information actually happened in calendar year 2020. You want to verify that the values that you reported are accurate. Sometimes they change. Something may have gone up, may have gone down. So you want to make sure that you review all of that information. So we're going to click Next. And it's going to take us first to the income section. You'll see that over here in the overview We're on income. I'm going to click next. I'm going to review the information. It appears to all be correct. So I'm going to click next. If there was something here that changed, say the income for one of the two individuals that were listed here, if you click the pencil, it will open up an edit screen. If something is no longer applicable, you can click the trash can and it will make it totally go away. Understand, if you click the trash can, once it goes away, if you did that unintentionally or by accident, you're going to have to go in and re-enter it again. As well as if there is another source of income that's reportable, you can add that by clicking the Add Employment Income button. So in this case, we're going to go to the next screen. One other thing that I should tell you is in many of our screens, you'll see that there is a little question mark here. There's a question, what counts as employment income? And when you click that, it will open up and it will give you a synopsis of what we're looking for in that particular section. I'm going to click next. It's going to ask if you have any retirement income. It will provide an explanation of what we're looking for here. If you were to click yes and click next, it will bring you to a screen where it will ask you for that information. If you made a wrong choice and you clicked next, you clicked yes, when you meant to click no, you can always click the previous button and go back to that question, choose the right choice, and then go forward. Another thing I should point out right now is you'll see that at the bottom of the screen, there's a Finish Later button. At any time that you are completing this, if you need to go to a meeting, take a phone call, or possibly take a break, you can click Finish Later, and when you come back, it will bring you back to the exact same place that you left. Now we have uncommon income sources. Once again, there's going to be an overview here. You'll see that last year, the answer to that question was no. If one of these things has now occurred in 2020, okay, I would click yes. Once again, that would take me to a page where it would allow me to report for that information. We're now going to come to financial assets and interest income. Once again, in the overview page, you're going to want to make sure that you look at all of the information there because it's going to provide you with details about the upcoming section that you're reporting for. So you'll see here in the first screen, we have bank accounts. And once again, what type of account should be reported? If I click the question mark, it's going to tell me savings accounts, checking accounts, certificates of deposit. Okay, so at any time, if you're not sure, it will also tell you the minimum threshold. So in this case, it would be those type of accounts that had a balance of any time at any time in the calendar year of over $24,000. I'm going to review that information to make sure that it's correct. Let's say that there is something that's changed here. I'm going to go over and click the pencil. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to now say that in the savings account, the balance was $60,000 to $99,999. The income or interest was still less than $30,000. Checking account information is correct. I'm going to choose next. You'll see that it's now changed that value. I can choose next. I have an investment account. It's at Vanguard. Looks like everything is still correct there. I can click next. Now it's going to ask for other types of self-directed investments. Okay. Once again, it's going to provide you with details about what we're looking for here according to the statute. The answer once again is no. I'm going to click next. Now we come to a section where you are going to report publicly traded investments. These are investments in which you make the buy and sell decisions. So you'll see here that last year I had 2 stocks. I review those to make sure those are still correct. But I also need to add a stock because I as the account holder who makes the buy and sell decisions have bought some additional stocks. Okay, you'll see here that it's asking held by, and you can choose more than one of these things. So if I wanted to say that this stock was held by the filer, I'd click here. If it was held by the spouse, I'd click here. If it was held by both, I can click both. Once I go here, go nature of holdings. It's going to ask for the highest value. Once I've added that, I can click next. And you'll see that it's now added it here. Once I've made sure that everything is correct, next. It's going to take me to the insurance policy section. Now, I want to be clear here about what we're looking for. You are going to report any insurance policies that have a cash or loanable value of over $24,000. Okay. This does not include term life insurance. This is that life insurance which has a loanable or cash out value right now of over $24,000. Okay. In this case, the filer only has term life insurance, so the answer to that is no. It's going to take us to some other less common assets. Once again, it's going to give you some details about what we're looking for here. Once again, if you click yes, you're going to click next. It's going to take you to that screen where it's asking for particular information about less common assets. I'm going to click previous to go back. No less common assets. Click next. And it's now going to bring you to the Washington real estate section. Understand that you are only reporting that real estate which is owned in the state of Washington that has an assessed value of over $10,000 that's held by the filer, the spouse, the registered domestic partner, or a dependent during the calendar year 2020. It will also ask you about a residential address exemption. The first question in that residential address exemption is, Was the filer spouse, registered domestic partner, or dependent a judge, prosecutor, or sheriff during 2020? Okay, in this case, the answer is no. In your particular case, if the answer was yes, you would click here. Then it also asks whether or not the filer has been granted a residential address reporting modification in the past, or have you now submitted one for this year? Okay, I'm going to click no. You'll see here that it's pre-populated with the information from the report of the previous year, calendar year 2019, and I need to review it to make sure that this information showing here is correct. As I can see, the assessed value shows that it's $200,000 to $499,999. That is still correct. I haven't purchased any property, and so I'm going to click next. It's now going to take me to the debt section. Okay. What I want to clarify here in the debt section is specifically, we do not care about any retail charge cards that you might have. Okay. We are looking for things like second mortgages, auto loans, student loans, boat loans, signature loan, those kinds of things. So I'm going to look here and review this information. Everything seems correct. If I had a new debt that wasn't previously reported, I could click the Add Creditors button and I could add that information. Let's say I bought a second vehicle, and had that loan now, I could go in and add that information. So seeing that all the information is still current and correct, I'm going to click Next. It's now going to ask me about business and organizational interests. Okay, once again, it's very important that you read this section. Okay, do you own a 10% or greater interest? Do you serve as an officer, director, general partner, or trustee? And this, we're not asking about the office that you're currently holding. We're asking about other positions that you might hold. So in this case, Mr. Siegel owns a manufacturing company. Okay, Acme Manufacturing, they make widgets. We're going to look down through here and make sure that everything is still correct. Okay, business customer payments, we showed yes. Last year there were business customer payments, so it's extremely important that we go in and review those to make sure that they are still accurate, and we do so by clicking the pencil at right. It will then open the screen for Acme Manufacturing, and I can go down here and I can review that information. I can click Next. Next. In this screen, it's asking whether or not Acme Manufacturing received any payments, in this case from the city of Olympia, where Mr. Siegel holds a position. That is still a no. Were there any other government agency payments that amounted to $12,000 or more in calendar year 2020? Once again, that is no. Now we finally get to the business payments section. And we're looking for any payments of $12,000 or more that were received between January 1 and December 31st of 2020. And in this case, there is an additional payment. So we are going to click the add, going to enter the customer's name and the purpose. And say next. If you are reporting for a business and you have a very large number of business payment information that you need to enter, you will see down here that there is a paste from spreadsheet option. If you use this option, this will basically allow you to import that information en masse instead of having to go through and do all of those entries a single one at a time. I have no other business payments, so I'm going to click next. It now asks, does Acme Manufacturing own any real estate in the state of Washington that's valued over $24,000? And the answer to that is still no. So I'm going to click next. It's going to take me back to the business's own section where I can now see that everything is complete. I click next. You will now be taken to the other relationships portion of business interest. What exactly are other relationships? Well, right down here once again, what counts as other relationships? I click the question mark and it tells you all of the information. These entities may include positions with corporations, unions, etc. Okay, including a nonprofit organization. And once again, you're going to be required to report all of the same things that we saw under Acme Manufacturing previously. So in this case, Mr. Siegel is a board member for the Thurston County Food Bank. It's going to look down here and make sure, no, there were no government agency payments received, meaning the city of Olympia. No other agency payments received, that means other government agencies, and no business customers. Now, this is a frequently confusing section for filers because what we're looking here when we have a nonprofit organization such as this is when we say payments in each of those instances, we are talking about payments for goods or services that are provided by the organization. In this case, we're talking about the Thurston County Food Bank. We're not including any grants or gifts that go to the Thurston County Food Bank. Only that activity related to the Thurston County Food Bank providing a good or a service to a government agency or a business customer. So once again, each of the answers for calendar year 2020 continue to be no. Click next. It's now going to ask whether or not Mr. Siegel or his spouse, registered domestic partner, or dependent was compensated for doing any lobbying. Okay, the answer to that is no. Now, we're going to get to the gifts and travel section. Okay, going to want to make sure that you read that overview, and we're talking about gifts of food or beverages, okay, or educational travel, seminars, etc., that were paid for by the filer between January 1 and December 31st of 2020. If you answer yes to that and click next, it's going to ask you to outline the information about that particular gifts or travel. Okay, if you have more than one, you will do multiple entities. I'm going to click the back button. I'm going to say no. I'm going to click next. And now it asks, does Jonathan L. Siegel have a spouse or registered domestic partner? Yes. Joanna Siegel, that's all still correct. I'm going to click next. Before I do that, you will see that there is a question that will appear here about whether or not you as a filer have any adult dependents that are referenced as part of this disclosure. But because in the previous screens, I haven't indicated that I have a dependent that had reportable activity, I get a message that says you don't need to answer this question. Okay, and the yes and no doesn't even appear underneath here. So you merely click next. And now we're at the end and we're in the review process, which you'll see right up here. And it says everything looks good. Now, it's entirely possible that when you get here, there may be an item that is returned to you because it didn't validate correctly, meaning there was something missing, okay? And if so, it would be listed here. It might possibly be income. And so it would say income here. And over on the right-hand side, there would be a fix it button. And when you click the fix it button, it will take you back to that screen so that you can review it to see exactly what it was that you missed reporting. It could be a line in an address. It could be an amount. It could be various things in that screen, but it will show you in that screen what needs to be fixed. And once you've done so, you can go back to the review. You can do that by scrolling over here and clicking review once again. For Mr. Siegel, everything looks good. We're almost ready to file. We're going to click next. It's now going to present everything that we've just done in a summation here. You'll see it says it hasn't been submitted yet. It hasn't been certified. At this point, you're not done. So don't stop here when you see this, but do make sure that you go down through here and you review everything to make sure that it's correct. Yes, everything's correct. So we now click next, and you'll see that you are now ready to submit the report. You're going to certify it by clicking this button. Okay. Make sure that you read and agree to the following statement. Okay. You're filing this report under penalty of perjury. Okay, so make sure that everything is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, and you are familiar with the applicable laws, okay, regarding the use of public resources in campaign. You can click on that link, okay, and this is the link for executive state officers and professional staff, or you can click on this link, and it's the link for local elected officials. So I'm now going to go down here. I'm going to type in I certify, type in the name. Enter the email address. And last but not least, I'm going to provide the phone number so I can be contacted if there is a question. Now, if you didn't want to submit the form, you could say not now, and you could come back in here later. But if you're all done and the review is passed, I suggest that you click submit. It will take a second, and you will see that you now received a submission processing notification. It says your registration was received. We'll send you an email when that submission is verified. In some cases, that's instantaneous, probably because you're a returning filer. Okay. Otherwise, if there was a problem with it, if you were a new filer, we have to link you to your record. Okay. All submissions should be processed and reviewed, and you will receive your notification within 2 business days. I now click OK. And you will now see that under your prior report section, you will see that that report has been submitted. That brings us to the end of the instructional video. If you have any questions about how to complete your F-1 that it hasn't been covered in this video, you can go to our website. That address is www.pdc.wa.gov. And in the upper left-hand corner, you will see a green square with a question mark in it. That's the Get Help section. If you click on that, it will open an email to us where you can send us your question about your F-1 personal financial affairs statement. Thank you very much for viewing our video today.